In today's Meta Monday episode, I'm jumping ahead to BT11 due to the fact that I've been told that assuming no delays, BT11 will be legal. Because of this, it's time to start analyzing some of the decks that we get, and Blackwargreymon X is one of them. In this video, I go over my variant that I've been playtesting with, the one-techs, the strengths, the weaknesses, and of course, the combos. And if you enjoy these types of videos, do consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting that notification bell for more future content. This deck runs 5 level 2s, 13 level 3s, 11 level 4s, 8 level 5s, 6 level 6s, 1 level 7, 6 option cards, and 5 tamers. For level 2s, this deck runs 4 BT5 Coromon and 1 BT9 Coromon. Whether you want draw power or DP buffs, it's ultimately up to your playstyle. I prefer card draw because it lets me find my combo pieces faster. In combination with the x-antibody, some of your Greymon Digimon have improved survivability and also more memory efficiency. But in looking at lists on DigimonMeta.com in the preparation, some builds utilize the DP buffs and sacrifice some option cards in place for memory boosts instead. For level 3s, this deck runs strictly Agumons. 3 BT8 Agumon from potential multiple searches for Dragonkin and Greymon Digimon. 1 BT5 Agumon for Greymon and Omnimon search. 4 Agumon X for Greymon or Omnimon search and the X-antibody option card. And then finally, your DP buff Agumons in the form of 4 promo Agumon for plus 2000 DP if the Digimon has Greymon in its name, and 1 starter deck Agumon for plus 1000 DP. Substitution-wise, I did not incorporate any of the new Agumon X from BT11, primarily because in terms of memory efficiency, that extra 1 memory can be expensive. Additionally, this locks you on Digivolving to Black, which can affect 3 level 4s for you. But the last Agumon you can utilize is a 1-tech copy of EX1 Agumon for additional Agumon searching, and Tamers, which is something I'm looking into testing over the starter deck 1 Agumon. Other variants utilize Tapirmon and Maki Himekawa mainly because so much of your deck is multicolored black. For level 4s, this deck runs 4 copies of BT8 Greymon, 4 BT11 Greymon X, 1 BT5 Greymon, 1 BT9 Greymon X, and 1 starter deck Greymon. I run a lot of 1-techs here mainly because you'll have instances you'll want the protection, but you've maximized the important ones for blocking and in essence a Deltamon for the deck that has protection with the X-antibody option card. BT5 Greymon here helps for cheap evolutions, while Greymon X from BT9 provides the necessary protections if you can't find your X-antibody. And starter deck Greymon for more aggression. Again, in looking at Digimon meta lists, there are a wide variety of variants including ones that use Deltamon and Maki Himekawa as well. Which takes us to level 5s looking at 3 Metal Greymon X from BT11, 3 BT8 Metal Greymon, and 2 Promo Metal Greymon Alterous modes. Many times you'll be able to set up the perfect stack and swing into security and reboot on your opponent's turn to trash another using Metal Greymon X's effect. But it can also pop bigger bodies now of 6000 DP if you have the X-antibody or Metal Greymon underneath it. Metal Greymon however can de-digivolve and pop a body of 3000 DP or less, while Alterous mode can pop a 4000 DP body with the presence of a Tamer. These ratios can be adjusted to whatever you want, but you'll want to find the balance for protection or trashing your opponent's security. But keep in mind, even though that 4-cost Digivolution is hefty for Metal Greymon and Metal Greymon X, Greymon X from BT11 can reduce these memory costs to just 2. Moving to level 6s, there's Blackwargreymon X, Blackwargreymon from BT8, and of course, Gaiomon. Gaiomon is definitely a techable card in the deck that can be a 2 of or 1 of. As a more defensive player, I'd like to let Metal Greymon's trashing effect do the work, while I just beat over my opponent's Digimon to prevent them from gaining a board presence. Reboot is huge in this deck. Blackwargreymon is still needed for Tamer Destruction and also provide that extra oomph for Blackwargreymon X if I can't find my X-antibody. Gaiomon is simply the extra aggression to whittle security faster. In combination with the Metal Grey X from BT11, 2 checks from Gaiomon and a reboot means I can get rid of 3 security in 1 turn, assuming Gaiomon is not removed from the battlefield by card effects or battle. Level 7 wise, this deck's getting really tight near the end. Digimon meta lists typically had 12 rookies and 10 level 4s, a number that I'm just not comfortable with. But because of this, they're able to fit more memory boosts and level 7s. With my present variant, I have enough room for just one Omnimon X-antibody as a game finisher. Since I can whittle security down so quickly, a single security left and swinging with any of my level 6s with the X-antibody can just be end of game with Omnimon X. However, you can easily add more options, such as Death Xmon for wider boards, or even a Blitz Omnimon if Omnimon X isn't your style. But arguably, it's one of the best ways to end the games in Greymon and Garurumon decks. For option cards, this deck runs 2 Hades Force, 1 Memory Boost, and 3 X-antibody. Hades Force is an absolute must in the deck. In playtesting against Grandis Kuwagamon, this card getting hit in security was always your saving grace. Red Memory Boost could easily be swapped out for something else, but sometimes you need to find that red level 3 or 4 to start your evolution climb. In playtesting with this deck, 2 X-antibody felt impossible to find, while 3 was the sweet spot. But other option cards you could now consider running are Blazing Storm of Metal, an oldie but a goodie that gives all of your Digimon with Reboot blocker. This is one card you could utilize if you're wanting to drop your Blackwargreymons in favor of red ones for more DP buffs or even extra security checks. And finally, 5 Tamers in the form of 2 Yuya Kuga, and the most broken Tamer of them all, 3 Cool Boys. Yuya is arguably one of the most busted cards ever to be given to a Greymon deck. When you Digivolve into a Greymon, you can suspend this Tamer to give the Digimon plus 2000 DP through your opponent's turn. But if it was the same level, that Digimon is unaffected by option cards. This is one way you can creatively get around your opponent's security if you think there's an option card in there. Chaos Degradation can now completely whiff without the need for Kongu. But Cool Boy will remain, in my opinion, one of the most busted Tamers in existence for the fact that you can 1. Search for potentially 2 cards, and 2. Gain memory and draw a card when you go off the same level. While X-antibody was a very cool concept that Bandai introduced, the EX3 format had continued seeing X-antibody decks outperform newer cards. In discussion with friends, players, and even judges, Bandai will definitely need to step up its game on how to handle decks that stay safely in the Rays. But in regards to strengths and weaknesses, this deck's major strength is really limiting your opponent's options. Against decks like Metal Garurumon X, having a Blackwargreymon X really dampers the strategy because an unsuspend means immediate death, unless you can bounce the Blackwargreymon X and it has no protection. Being able to reboot and simultaneously protect your Digimon and trash your opponent's security is one of the big why Bandai why moments I had when playtesting this deck. But for weaknesses, it of course has one major flaw. Decks like Grandis Kuwagamon can easily suspend Blackwargreymon X and swing into it and pierce over. To counter decks like this, you'll want a second stack already on standby to eat the first attack. That way you can use Blackwargreymon X's opponent's turn effect to blow up the Grandis Kuwagamon when it unsuspends. But Jesmon decks might also be a problem. In conclusion, there are a wide variety of ways to build this deck, and looking over Japan's list, there's not just one recipe that does it for the entire competitive scene. My variant has been streamlined for also the Grandis matchup right now, but if I were to give tips on the mirror match, whoever sets up their Blackwargreymon X first has the advantage to blow up the other person's if they swing into security and then reboot. After that, it becomes who has the most protection under their stack. Whether you strip the Agumons first for Metal Greymon Alteros Mode's protection, then bottom deck the X-antibody, and then trash the Greymons for Metal Greymon Alteros Mode's protection again, before you're bare and vulnerable. What are your thoughts on Blackwargreymon X? Have you started prepping for nationals and playtesting against this monstrosity? I'll be continuing playtesting new variants of different decks, coming from BT11 for your preparation. And if you have any recommendations for deck profiles, let me know in the comments below. This is DIGI-PANDA, logging out.